Hello, everyone. This hour on Verbling, the next in my Hot Topic series. Today's hot topic, lunacy. Oh my goodness, what is that about? As there is a new book coming out on this particular topic, we're going to read a little bit about this book and about the amazing case of the first known schizophrenic to science, the first reported one. Even stranger than the doctors at his asylum realized, many of the incredible conspiracies which their patient of 10 years claimed to be true turned out to be true and went all the way up to the very top of two different governments. We're going to talk about that. First, a little bit about me. I'm Jon-Eric, your Verbling teacher for this hour. I'm an American teacher from New York, hanging out from Lisbon, Portugal to bring you this class. By the way, here are 3 quick rules to help you participate. Don't forget to turn off, tune in, and open up, which means turn off your microphone when you're not speaking so we can keep the classroom quiet. Tune in to the new words we're learning when we are speaking so I can give you feedback and correct you. Whoops, wrong slide. And open up to your classmates. Relax and have fun. We're all here to learn, and this is a safe and respectful place to practice your English. So, I'm going to share my screen with you as much as I can in this class. Give me 1 second. Fix the camera. Give me 1 second to get our document on screen, and boom. So this is what you should see when you open it up. Let me just get a little bit smaller. All right. So Daniel, I guess people are on their way in, right?
I hope.
There should be. There should be a bunch of people coming. Daniel, what comes to mind when you hear the word lunacy? Lunacy.
Someone mad?
Anyone in particular?
Famous.
Oh yeah?
I don't know.
When you think about madness, who's the most famous? What's the most famous case of madness that comes to mind?
I go blank. My mind go blank. Goes blank. My mind.
My mind went blank.
Went blank.
Let's see if Faisal can help us out. Hello, Faisal. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Faisal, is this your first time with us?
Yeah, I believe that's first time I join your class.
Okay, very good. Where are you from?
From Saudi Arabia.
Nice to have you.
Thank you.
Faisal, when you hear the word lunacy, what comes to mind?
Lunacy, okay, explain the situation in that picture?
I guess.
It sounds like detective. You try to find something or something more valuable or something like that.
More valued? I don't know about that. Maybe we have the wrong idea in mind.
Yeah.
So Daniel said madness. I'll put that in the chat window. And Wellington, what comes to mind? Hi, how are you?
Fine. How are you? Hi, guys.
What comes to mind with the word lunacy? Lunacy.
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 Lunacy. Lunatic.
Lunatic.
Yeah.
Lunatic. And what a lunatic?
Well, I think it's related to mental illness.
Mental? Mental what?
Illness. Eunice mental, sick mental.
Mental health?
Yes, mental health.
Ah, okay. Mental health. Okay, I think we're on the right track there. And there we go. Shadow. Oh,
And
sorry. Go ahead.
no. I think this. I don't have much to talk about this.
We're going to find out a lot about it in just a minute, actually. And
Okay.
Shadow, are you out there?
Yeah, hello teacher, hello everybody.
Hello.
By the way, my name is Jon-Eric, everyone. Nice to meet you.
I'm sorry.
Hi, Shadow.
Hello John.
Ah, there we go. Can you think of a famous case of lunacy? So we have lunacy meaning madness. We have the word lunatic, which is a person. Wellington said it has something to do with mental health. I agree. Daniel says it has something to do with insanity. What's the most famous case of lunacy that you can think of?
I think of
Anything come to mind?
nothing.
Nothing. Let's see if Carmen can help you out. Carmen,
Good morning.
what's a famous case of lunacy? I just like saying that word, lunacy. Lunacy.
Scaring me to death. Okay then. Well, yes. You know Charles Mason. You know the one.
Oh,
Yeah,
Charles
yeah.
Manson.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's
because
amazing.
I read in the news that he's getting married with someone 25 years his senior, something like that. So that is a bad case of lunacy for what he did.
Right. Let's see. Hold on a second. He is 55 years older than his bride.
Ah, so what's 25? So it's much worse.
He's 55 years older. So everyone, there's a lunatic for you. Carmen's talking about Charles Manson, the guy who is responsible for a kind of a religious cult in the 60s and was convicted of sending out his members to kill celebrities in a really nasty way, really nasty, violent way.
Yeah.
But he's getting married at 80, so lucky him, right? There's a good lunatic for you. Well, and lunacy, what about do you know the etymology of the word? Do you know where it comes from? Just out of curiosity? Because if you
That's
speak
Spanish root, no? Because it's moon in Spanish.
it's, say again? I couldn't hear you. Say?
Moon. You know
Moon.
the root of the word
Mhm.
lunacy comes from moon.
Comes from moon, like Luna, right?
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
I heard that before. Moon makes people crazy. That's why this lunacy was. That is the origin of this word lunacy.
Moon
So-
make crazy womans. women, sorry.
Crazy woman?
And men too, not only women.
What do you mean?
I think you're going to have to justify that, Daniel.
Yes, go on.
Are you saying that from experience? Or?
Yes, if the moon is full, you can catch someone.
All right.
When we were young at the university, we usually say that.
You mean dating someone? You cannot date someone with full moon or something? Never heard of that before.
Yeah. Crazy
Well,
things.
he's up there in Salamanca. Things are different.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe.
University city.
So, Daniel, you have experience. You are betrayed by a woman, and you wanted to cut her.
Yes, every 29 days I have a
What 29 days? very
Ah.
mysterious figure. Yeah.
That's that's very interesting because the moon has a cycle too, and in English, if you want to learn a little bit of English, which we might want to learn here in class, we say wax and wane. Wax and wane. That's the cycle of the moon. Actually, you don't hear people say this too much anymore, but the moon is full, and then you also have what we call the new moon, where you basically don't see it. So when it's full, we say wax, and when it's a sliver, we say wane. So you'll sometimes hear the expression waxing poetic. Poetic. That means becoming full of emotion and being very poetic. You don't hear it very often. But anyway, so speaking about cycles, the cycle of the moon is waxing when it's full and waning, and we can use that as a metaphor, actually. So maybe you're onto something, Daniel. I don't know. Maybe.
If your woman is about to birth a child, usually the moon full is a day with a lot of work in a hospital.
The full moon is when everyone gives birth? Really?
Yes, everyone no, but it's
I don't believe that.
Yeah.
But
No.
you've never been to Salamanca. You don't know what it's like there, Carmen.
That's superstition thing, so I don't believe that.
Everyone avoid Salamanca when it's a full moon.
Yeah, just in case.
Or you might give birth.
Someone
Careful.
happen when moon is full.
Well,
the tide in the sea.
Yeah, the tide is high.
That's true. Well, I think that the connection here, I think that what we're going to read about actually has a lot to do with what you're talking about. Mysterious forces that we didn't understand. You're absolutely right. It affects the tides. So people knew that there was some connection, but they didn't see anything happening in front of their eyes, and they had to come up with some explanation. So the explanation was all kinds of things in the old days. One of them is, I mentioned this in another class, the ether. The ether was the mysterious force, especially in the 19th century, that seemed to control the universe. The mysterious force we couldn't see. We didn't understand gravity and things like that. We're going to find out more about mysterious forces in just a minute. Andre, are you there? Let me just say a quick hello to Andre, who's joining us.
Yeah, hello. Hello, John.
What's up?
I'm good, and how are you?
Okay. Just making sure you're all right. I'm going to turn the page here. Okay. I've got a bunch of links, and although I know this is a very bad idea, I'm going to try to play a video. If you don't see it, just open the link in another chat window. And give me just a second here. I'm going to fix my screen so you can see this in the page view. Okay. So there's the link, and I'll put it in the chat window as well. Watch this short video and decide whether you think this is the diary entry of A, your English teacher, B, a well-known and respected politician, or C, that uncle in your family, that uncle no one in your family talks about. Those are your choices. There's the video in the chat window. I'm going to try to play it in the classroom. Remember, if you don't see it or you can't hear it, just open a tab. It's short. It's about a minute or two. Okay? So, here we go. Bear with me, everyone. Click accept if you see the YouTube app.
Okay, then.
All right, and I'm going to add the video to the playlist right now. Let's see if this works. Should. And Wow. Wow. Wow.
What? It's kind of horror movie. It looks like an advertisement of headache medicine.
Kind of. Let's see if we can answer the short quiz. Is that the diary entry of your English teacher, a well-known and respected politician, or that uncle no one in your family talks about?
Politician.
Yuki says B, a well-respected politician.
No?
I don't know. Let's find out the rest of the class. What about the rest of you?
For me, it's the uncle nobody talks about in the family.
Oh my God, what's going on in your family, Carmen?
I don't know, that's why we don't talk about him. You know, he's lunatic, so we don't want to be related to him, so we just ignore him.
Does anyone think it's answer A? Oh, good. Okay, good. No one.
Just in case you kick us out.
Exactly. I have the eject button. The answer is B. A well-respected politician in the 18th century. A well-respected politician that we're going to read about who happened to be the first crazy person in history, the first recorded and studied schizophrenic, whose name is James Tilley. And I used to work for him at a language school. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Listen, that horror movie you just saw, that was an actual excerpt from his diary. That's actually from his writing. Or I don't know if it was his diary. I guess it was, he was explaining his worldview to the head of the what they used to call the lunatic asylum. And over a period of time, the guy that we'll read about, they had a relationship. The one who was kind of like an administrator there, and Mr. Tilley, and he explained his what was going on and how he got in there over a long period of time, and eventually this was published. So what you were hearing were actual descriptions from his, I guess you would call these delusions. So could you make out anything that he said besides the crazy visuals? Could you make out what he was saying at all? Or no? What did you pick up, Andre? Were you able to hear the audio?
Yes, I heard the video, but many unknown words for me.
Well, he invented a lot of words, so that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
What was the gist? What was the gist? What was the impression that you got?
He was talking about some robot or something, electrical things, but it was so mixed, and I didn't understand actually.
He thought that his mind is controlled by as Andre mentioned, controlled by machine.
Yeah,
Right.
machines. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a kind of obsession, maybe. Yeah.
Maybe. And he was controlled by a machine. And where was he?
Because
In jail.
Where, Carmen?
In jail. No, it's not jail. No, in a madhouse, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, he's in an asylum.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be called a madhouse, but then we changed. Well, actually, okay, insane asylum. Like
he
this.
think it is a kind of secret weapon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And did you catch how he was being
mysterious
controlled?
Yes, something. It is weapon is worked by something mysterious power. I don't know, something
So
Air, something gas.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. He
Yeah.
talked about these strange magnetic
Mm.
gases because the chemistry was just beginning, and people kind of more or less knew that, okay, alchemy was being turned into the science of chemistry. So he talked about these so-called magnetic gases, and he used two words which you will probably recognize. He used the word sympathy, which I'll put in the chat window, sympathy, or I should say sympathies, and antipathies, like this. Those are the two words he used at the kind of the end of the video, at the end of his diary entry. Those words meant something different in the old days. So what does sympathy, if I'm sympathetic, Wellington, if you're sympathetic, what does that mean today in modern language?
I
What do you
always
think?
feel sympathy to you, John. How hard
Please don't.
teacher is.
Please don't feel sympathy for me. Feel pity. Pity is a better word.
Yeah, not pity, just sympathy. Yeah.
Wellington, if I'm sympathetic, what does that mean to you in modern language?
Sympathetic is a kind person.
Kind. Okay. Yeah. And what about antipathy? You don't hear that as much, but what's your idea with that? Antipathy.
The opposite.
The opposite, because of ant. Right.
Yes.
There you go. So, but in this context, they tried to explain forces in nature, scientists at the time, early scientists. Sympathy was the law of attraction, and antipathy was the law of opposition. So when the moon waxes or wanes, it's sympathy. Do you remember that word earlier?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Wax or wane? Let's see if you can remember the vocabulary word.
Wax.
Good! When the moon waxes, it's sympathy, because the tides are being attracted by the moon. And when it's low tide, it's antipathy. So that's where some of these words come from. So it's kind of interesting to see how the words have changed over time. Now we would call that, we have an explanation with physics. Let's read as much as we can. I don't know if this article is too long, but let's read as much as we can. And this hour, we'll focus more on reading. I have another case study to read in the second hour as well. And we're going to be focusing more on a discussion or a kind of a role play and debate in the second hour. So let's get started. Carmen, you're our traditional starter, as you know. And this is from a book that's just come out. So why don't you, go ahead. Why don't you take it from the top there, Carmen?
From the top? Okay. Illustrations of Madness. James Tilly Matthews and the Heirloom. My Day recounts the tragic story of James Tilly Matthews, a former peace activist of the Napoleonic Wars who was confined to London's Nottingham Bedlam Asylum in 1797 for
Asylum, by the way. Asylum.
Asylum?
Right.
Asylum. 1797 for believing that his mind was under the control of the Heirloom, a terrifying machine whose mesmeric rays and mysterious gazes were brainwashing politicians and plunging Europe into revolution, terror, and war.
I wonder if that's true today. Maybe that explains everything. And the word mesmeric. What do you think about this word, mesmeric?
Could it come from the verb mesmerize?
Mesmerize. That's right. And what do you think that means? Or can you think of an example? Mesmerize?
When you put a spell on someone, no? When you, I don't know, explain it. When someone is mesmerized by others, it's because they are infatuated.
Okay, or infatuated not necessarily in love, but maybe sort of hypnotized in some
That's
way.
it. Absolutely.
Right. Mesmerized, hypnotized. And so these were the terrifying rays, hypnotizing rays coming out of his supposed machine. And look at that picture to the left. Can everyone see that picture? Faisal, if you look at that picture, what do you think about?
Actually, I don't get. This is so strange. Something
It is
like
strange.
chair and to steal, and there is someone he tried to resist something. He want to jump. It's so difficult picture. I don't understand it.
Okay, so what do you see the man doing in the picture? Let's just be clear about that. On the left side of the screen. What's he doing? Can you tell?
Try to hold something to jump to another floor.
Oh, I see, I see. No, he's actually not jumping. He's pulling levers of a machine. Those are giant levers.
Okay.
And take a wild guess. What machine do you think this is?
A brainwashing machine.
A what?
Brainwashing.
Brainwashing machine. That is a very good guess. Very good guess, actually. We're going to find out. Actually, well, Faisal, let's go around. Everyone's going to take one paragraph. There's plenty of paragraphs to go around. Why don't you continue with our first paragraph? I'll read the caption, though, up here. The middleman operating the heirloom. A detail from James Tilly Matthews' illustration of the heirloom, featured in John Haslam's Illustrations of Madness, 1810. This was a drawing by the guy that Carmen just introduced. This was his actual drawing of the machine that was controlling the minds of politicians in the 18th century.
Is it the original picture drawn by James Till Matthews?
Yep, that's his drawing.
Oh.
You're going to see a bigger picture of it later in the article, but that's a detail. That's kind of like the center of the picture.
Yeah. Amazing.
So Faisal, why don't you take the first paragraph for us?
Okay. In 1810, John Haslam, a London apothecary, published published the first ever book-length description of mad person delusion. Until this point, most medical case histories of what we now refer as mental illness had amounted to line or two at most, and more often just single words such as frenzied or melancholy.
Good.
But
melancholy.
But the opinions of James Tilly Matthews resist any such summary. He described a previously unimagined world
unimagined. Good.
Unimagined world of futuristic machine, magnetic spies, and mass brainwashing, moving into bizarre but undeniable will inform narrative of high political behind Napoleonic Wars.
No, Napoleonic Wars.
Napoleonic Wars.
Which means wars from Napoleon.
Yeah.
There you go. So there's going to be lots of vocabulary here that's new for you, but focus on the main idea. Don't worry about all the vocabulary. So if we're talking about the Napoleonic Wars, what's the time period? Well, actually, you can see 1810 at the very top. So, I guess
that's the 19th century.
Yeah, that's pretty obvious. So we're actually talking about the end of the 18th century, and then for 10 years, this guy was in a insane asylum. So the beginning of the 19th century, as he's incarcerated, meaning behind bars, incarcerated. So Faisal, Can you understand in that first paragraph why Mr. Matthews' case is different than every other case at the time? What makes him different? It's just that line about how most of the time they could say someone was frenzied or melancholy. But his case was very different. What was different about him?
Actually, I'm not get it at all, but I think he can write something about the situation and the real situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most of the people, they don't accept his idea, so they think he's mad or something like that.
Well, yeah, they thought he was mad and they locked him up. Let's see if we can help Faisal out. What makes his case different? Right now, in the first paragraph, you can already see what set him apart from other quote-unquote crazy people at the time. What made him different? Why did they notice him? What would you say, class? Help him out.
Because before his case, most cases of mental illness was melancholy and frenzied. And
Okay.
he kind of became the first who had
what could he do that the others couldn't do?
He actually imagined a world of futuristic machines and magnetic spies.
That's it.
Yeah.
He could explain what was going on in his head with perfect clarity. And so no longer could they just say someone was frenzied, meaning that they are kind of nervous and running around, or melancholy, meaning sad. One-word descriptions didn't apply to him because he could explain in very clear detail these incredible and elaborate illusions, or delusions, I should say. Or so they thought. We'll find out a little bit more about him later because not everything he said was as delusional as it seems. So, Andre, why don't you continue? The bottom where it says Haslam, that's the doctor.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Haslam titled his book Illustrations of Madness, and it was full of lessons for the nascent profession of mad doctoring, later to be known as psychiatry. But it was also written to settle a personal score. Haslam was the apothecary at the Royal Bedlam Hospital. In popular slang, Bedlam.
That's what everyone called it, Bedlam. Mm-hmm. And we use that word nowadays. Bedlam is like a crazy place. So we still use that word today.
Okay.
So it's Bethlehem Hospital, which just became Bedlam.
Okay. Where James Tilly Matthews had for the previous decade been confined as an incurable lunatic. Not everyone, however, believed that Matthews was mad. Haslam's diagnosis had been contested by other doctors, and the governor of Bedlam had distanced themselves from it. He wrote his book in retaliation against his superiors, but as it turned out, his patient would have the last word.
Okay. In other words, Andre, in other words, give us the gist of that. Think about the words contested and retaliation. What's the idea? Haslam, the doctor of Matthews, did what?
As I understood, not everybody supported Haslam's diagnosis.
That the guy was crazy, right? Not everyone believed it.
And some doctors contested. I mean, proved that he was wrong, right? Contest. What does it mean, contested?
To go against.
To go against. Went against him and distance this some governors, even governments of Bethlehem, distance from it.
Okay, and this word retaliation, Haslam was doing something in retaliation. Carmen says that means revenge. So what was the revenge that Haslam was seeking? Was that clear or not?
I guess because everybody was against him, he kind of decided to write a book.
Right.
About
Everyone beside him believed that Matthew was not mad.
Exactly.
So, but only he believed that his symptom is psychiatry. So he wrote his book as a contradiction to other doctors.
Exactly. So no one believed him. So he wrote this book, and that book became the first psychological case study in the history of science. And it was the transition from, quote, mad doctoring to psychiatry or psychology. That was the transition period. Maybe this is the first case. Yuki, why don't you continue in the next paragraph?
Okay. Although Haslam has been relegated to the footnote in the history of psychiatry, his account of Matthew's inner world is still cited as the first fully described case of what we now call paranoid schizophrenia.
Mm-hmm. Schizophrenia. Skits.
21st century Skits. It's a famous album of King Crimson. Schizophrenia. Right?
And Paranoid is a great song by Black Sabbath.
21st century Schizophrenia is a famous album of King Crimson.
And at the same time, Paranoid was a great album by Black Sabbath.
Ah, yes. So you prefer Black Sabbath?
Not necessarily. I like Robert Fripp too.
It's a heavy metal already. King Crimson is progressive rock. It's difficult. Different. I'm sorry. Schizophrenia, and in particular of influencing machine.
You're going to hear a lot about this as you read. The
influencing machine, the belief or delusion that the covertly operated device is acting at a distance to control the subject's mind and body. For everyone who had since had messages beamed at them by the CIA, MI5, Masonic lodges, or UFOs, by dental fillings, mysterious implants, TV sets, or surveillance satellites. James Tilly Matthews is patient zero.
What do you think patient zero means in this context? That's a good expression for you. Patient zero.
What
do you think it means?
It is she's in comparison with these contemporary fanatic people. He's not so strange. He's not rare. Something
Carmen, could you add a little to that? Because you made a note there, which I agree with.
Because it's the first one.
The first, right? So if you're counting them, he's the first, zero, before all the others.
After all these fanatic people followed.
Exactly.
Okay.
So if you believe that you're being controlled by UFOs because you have dental fillings and they're communicating with you, well, you're not alone.
So Discovery Channel's guys is all included.
Yeah. There would be no Discovery Channel without Mr. Matthews. He should get, his family should get royalties. Oh my God.
Now I can watch Discovery Channel all owned to him. Yeah.
I don't know if I don't know if anyone's done a documentary about him, but now that the book is coming out in 2014, maybe they'll actually you'll see some features, which is pretty interesting because his case is so well documented. I've put lots of pictures from his own pictures in the article here, but look for it because they might come out with a few documentaries or specials, which would be very interesting because you get to see what was really going on at the time in madhouses, and not only so because he was connected to politics, as we'll find out. So if you look at that picture on the left, what do you think's happening in that picture, Yuki? Can you see it?
Yes, picture. Okay.
Do you see it?
Yes, I see. Yes.
What do you think's happening to that dude in the picture?
It is written victim of air rooms inflating rays. So he was suffering from very mysterious rays from this machine. Air room.
Just like you, Yuki. It's you.
It's me. Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed. Yes. I'm
suffering from mysterious.
Yes, alone in Russia. Yeah, even all.
I'll see if remember.
Yes.
If at any time you feel like you're being controlled by mysterious rays, just put the tin foil on your head, and it'll go away. Let me see if I can just find influencing machine. Let me just see if I can find the full picture for you. Because I had it there, but here it is. Maybe you can see it on the screen now. Give me just a second to make this a little bit bigger. It's a little bit small, but if okay, I don't know how well you can see it. I got to make that a little bit bigger. Give me just a second if I can blow this up. There you go. Can you see it now? This is the full picture, the actual picture that he drew.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's big.
It's
big machine.
It's a very big machine.
It is bigger than I imagined from previous picture.
And Shadow, that is correct. This is the heirloom.
It reminds of the film Metropolis.
Metropolis.
No? Metropolis is a very classic sci-fi movie. Yeah.
But Metropolis was an android.
Yes, but android. Yes.
And this is controlled by evil people, and he knew them all. He knew them all by name. And guess what? That's not all, because that's the influencing machine, the heirloom. But let me show you another picture which you won't believe. This one you won't believe. Give me a second here. Take a look at this, and tell me what you think.
Why it exists? Someone recreate? How to say? Someone construct exactly same machine as it is described in this picture. Yeah.
His drafting was so precise that they were able to make a scale model from his original drawings.
His precise picture enable these people to realize to build a machine.
There you go, and there it is. That's the actual.
It's made of wood, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's the 18th century, so. But there you go. There's a picture of it, and I'll show one more from the other angle. Whoops, didn't want to go there. I want to go.
Why there is the barrels?
Because that's where.
Fields, yeah?
That's where all the mysterious and mesmerizing gases are stored, I guess.
Gas is in barrels.
I guess.
logical.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't
whoops.
understand.
Whoops. I'll give you that link in just a second. Let me see if I can make the picture just a little bit bigger so we can see it from the front. Ah, why does it keep doing that? I'll give you this this website so you can go to it and see the actual machine. But okay, it's not letting me blow up the picture for some reason. But anyway, you can see it there. I'll put it in the chat window for you. If you want to go to this website, you can see the actual machine that was built. Right? Wellington, why don't you take the next one where we get to know a little bit about the history?
Okay. Over 10 years, they had spent together in Bedlam. Matthews revealed his secret words to Haslam in the exhaustive detail. Around the corner from Bedlam, in a dank basement cellar by London Wall, a gang of villains were controlling and tormenting him with a machine called an heirloom. Matthews had even drawn a technical diagram of the device.
Diagram.
Of
Good.
the device, which Haslam included in his book, with a sarcastic commentary that invited the reader to laugh at its absurdity, a literal illustration of madness. But Matthew's drawing has a more unnerving effect that Haslam allows. Levers, barrels, batteries, brass retorts, and cylinders are handled with the cool conviction of an engineer's blueprint. It is the first ever published work of art by an asylum inmate, but it would hardly have looked out of place in the scientific journals or encyclopedias of its day.
Encyclopedias. I know it's spelled differently, but we say it like that. Encyclopedias.
Encyclopedias.
That's right.
Encyclopedias. Right. Thank you.
And why do you think that line is there? It would hardly have looked out of place in a scientific journal. Just to be clear about out of place. Why would it not look out of place according to that paragraph? Is that part clear?
Sorry, I don't understand the question.
Why would Matthew's drawing of the heirloom not look out of place in a scientific journal of that time? Is that clear?
No.
Out of place. What is out of place?
Out of the place?
Yeah.
Out of the place is like out of the context, not usual, not normal.
Not usual, not normal, exactly. So his drawing would not look strange in a scientific journal of the time. That's what they're saying. It would not look strange. Is it clear why it would not look strange?
Because I think because in this time the person, the people that was searching, was imagining the future situations, realistic situations,
and the present too.
Science fiction.
And the present too. They were trying to create science at the time. It was the Enlightenment. So not just the future, but they were trying to work out these diagrams of how forces worked. So not just the future. And his drawings were so precise that they looked very technical. In fact, in the mental institute, in the lunatic asylum, he actually had a second career as a kind of an engineer. His drawings were so respected that he got hired to help design a hospital because his drawings were unusually precise. He was a very good draftsman. And you can see this next picture, a detail from the lower portions of James Tilly Matthews' illustration of the heirloom featured in John Haslam's illustration of Madness. So you have part of, that's from the same picture. You have part of the diagram where he's explaining the layout, kind of looking down at the heirloom, and he gives some details at the bottom. All right. I think we have time maybe to do one more paragraph. So, Shadow, you're next on my list. You're next to Wellington. Can you take the next one? The heirloom worked?
Yeah, sure. The heirloom worked as its name suggests by weaving airs or gases into a world of magnetic fluid, which was directed at its victim. Matthew's explanation of its powers combined the cutting-edge technologies of pneumatic chemistry.
Pneumatic means air, related to the air. Pneumatic
chemistry, and the electric battery with the controversial science of animal magnetism or mesmerism.
Good.
The finer details become increasingly strange. It was fueled by
Good.
combinations of fetid effluvia.
Yes, whatever that means. Fetid is like rotten or disgusting. Effluvia, don't worry about it. Who knows? It didn't make any sense.
Including spermatic animals' seminal rays.
We could only imagine.
Gosh.
Putrid human breath and gas from anus of the horse.
Here he goes.
So this has a lot to do with things that we shouldn't, we are best left untalked about in the bathroom.
And
he has a very, very fertile imagination when it comes to disgusting gases.
And its magnetic warp assailed Matthew's brain, and in a catalog of forms known as event working. These included brain saying and dream working, by which thoughts were forced into the brain against his will, and a terrifying array
meaning variety, array
of physical tortures from knee nailing, fetal tearing, and fiber ripping.
So these are the tortures that the machine would inflict, at least in his mind, he said. What is knee nailing? I have no idea. I can guess, but it's something that he invented. Knee nailing, vital tearing, and fiber ripping.
To apoplexy working with the
nutmeg
grater.
Nutmeg is something you cook with. Nutmeg. So, all right, the guy's nuts. In other words.
And the dreaded lobster cracking.
Lobster cracking.
Where the air around his chest was constricted until he was unable to breathe. To facilitate their control over him, the gang had implanted a magnet into his brain. He was tormented constantly by hallucinations, physical agonies. It's a hard paragraph, teacher. Really.
It is. Yes, it is.
Physical agonies.
Right.
Fits of laughter. Okay. Or being forced to parrot whatever words they choose to feed into his head. No wonder some people thought he was mad.
Yes.
No wonder.
And to parrot, that's a verb.
Mm-hmm.
So to parrot, what does a parrot do, Shadow? What does a parrot do, Shadow?
I don't know.
A parrot! The bird that sits on the shoulder of the pirate. What does the
Talk.
parrot do? Talk. Yeah. Does the parrot understand what it says?
No,
No.
No,
just
probably not.
repeating.
Exactly. So to parrot means to repeat. So he was forced to repeat whatever the controllers of the heirloom told him to say, at least in his mind. And all of these crazy things above there, if you don't understand it, don't worry, because I don't understand it either.
I didn't
It would be
understand.
problem if you understand all of this.
Apocalypse working with a nutmeg grater, that happens to me every day. Oh my God. Lobster cracking. I'm being lobster cracked right now. So, look, we're going to have to take a little break, and I'll be back in an hour to talk a little bit about the part of this that was true. Because it turned out that, okay, the guy was crazy, but not everything that he was crazy about turned out to be a delusion, as we'll find out. So that'll be in an hour from now. So take a break, have a cup of tea, don't get lobster cracked, and we'll be back in 1 hour. We're going to jump down to the bottom where we talk about his politics, and I have another case study. We won't read that one, we'll just talk about it. Interestingly related to our good friend Sigmund Freud. So stick around for that in an hour from now, everyone. Okay? And we'll hold your questions to then. If you have any questions about what we talked about, just bring them to the beginning of the next class. I'll make sure it's clear for you. All right? So, bye for now, everyone. Hope to see you in an hour.
Thank you, Jan.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you
for now.
around.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you.